everyone. Thank you for clicking on the Literacy Volunteers of Harrison County YouTube page. We are a nonprofit United Way agency, and we provide these videos to you for educational purposes. We would love for you to share them with your friends and to like them and to use them for whatever educational means that you would need. Today we're going to look at a math lesson. This is number 6. It's Introduction to Decimals. We just finished fractions and we're going to start a new series on decimals. And so we want to look at what is a decimal. A number, it's based on 10 and it has to contain a decimal point in order to be a decimal. And we'll look at that more here in a minute. The decimal point is going to go between the ones and the tens place. In our example here, we have 45.6. So when we look, we have a 4 in tens place, a 5 in ones place, then here's our decimal point, and to the right of the decimal point, this is what's called tenths place. So our 6 is in tenths place. When we read this number, we would say 45 and 6 tenths. So that's how we read a decimal. So we're going to learn more about reading decimals and identifying those. And then next time we'll look at how we count money using decimals. So here's our number, 45.6. We have 4 tens, 5 ones, and 6 tenths in this number. And then what I did here was kind of just break it down so you could see how many of each. So here is one row of 10 dots, and we have 4 rows of 10 dots. That represents our 40. And then here are 5 dots, which represents our 5 ones. And then here are 10 X's, and then 6 of them are squared in here or circled, and that represents our 6 tenths. So how does this work? It's all about place value. When we write numbers, the position that we put them in or the place in which they are very important. It would be like me telling you I have $1 compared to $10 compared to $100 compared to $1,000. Where I put that decimal point defines how much of each number I have. So in the number 526, this 6 is in the ones position. We have 6 ones, right? If we move over, 2 is in the tens position. So here in this instance, we have 2 tens. And if you have 2 tens, that's 20. And then the 5 is in hundreds position. We have 5 hundreds in this instance. So if we continue on and look at our numbers, I put them here for you. We just read this 526. That's how you read that number. This one does not have a decimal point. So as we move to the left, each position gets 10 times bigger. If we have ones here and we multiply by 10, we get tens. If we have tens here and we multiply by 10, we get hundreds, right? What would happen if we multiplied hundreds by tens? We would get thousands, and so on. So as we move to the left, we're increasing our number by 10 each time, by 10 times bigger. So tens are 10 times bigger than ones, and hundreds are 10 times bigger than tens. But what if we move in the opposite direction? What if we move to the right? As we move to the right, each position is going to get 10 times smaller. So here in 526, 100 divided by 10 is 10. 10 divided by 10 is 1. We're getting 10 times smaller as we move this way. So what if we continue to go past ones? What happens when we get 10 times smaller than 1, right? That is called a tenth, or 1 over 10, right? That's what's our first position after our decimal is going to be 10 times smaller than 1. So 526.7, it gives us 5 hundredths, 20 ones, 6 tens, and 7 tenths because it's after the decimal, right? We can continue with smaller and smaller values from tenths. So from tenths we can go 10 times smaller is hundredths, 10 times smaller is thousands. So that's how we're going to move when we go to the right of the decimal. We can write numbers as large and as small as we want to using decimal points. That's the point of the decimal system. So we can show those values of things that are much smaller than 1. Digits can be placed to the left or the right of the decimal point to show values greater or less than 1. The decimal point is the most important part of the decimal number. Without it, we can't tell what positions are which. So we have to put that decimal there. In this example, we have 22, and then we have our decimal, and 675. If we look to the left, 22 is a whole number. That's just 2 ones and 2 tens, 22. If we look to the right, we have 675 thousandths, because that's our last place when we look here. This is in tenths place, this is in hundredths place, this is in thousandths place. So that's how we would read that decimal. So here's our example. If I gave you this number and you were looking at it, how would you read that to me? What would you tell me it is? That number is 2 3/10. We have 2 is our whole number and 3 is in tenths place. 2 3/10. What about this number? If we were looking at this number, how would we read it? It is 13 76 hundredths, right? This is in tenths place, that's in hundredths place. The last one takes us 3 digits beyond the decimal, and when we're reading this, we would say 126 774 thousandths, because this 7 is in tenths place, this 7 is in hundredths place, and that 4 is in thousandths place. So the next time we're going to talk about decimal fractions, and we're going to relate that to money, something that's more tangible for you to be able to associate with, and something that you're familiar with. So if you would like to see that video, please click on it. If you want to see any of the ones about fractions, if you have any questions about fractions, go back and check out those, and please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you.